up your sign so we can.
Okay.
We're just normal folk. Yeah. So we're trying to bring people's message directly to the internet without any media getting in the way. Ready? Okay. So we're here at Occupy New Haven. What is your name, sir?
Dan Spring.
And I see you have a sign here, and we talked earlier. You said it was the first protest sign you'd ever made. Is this the first protest you've ever been to?
Yes.
Okay. And what brings you down here to Occupy New Haven?
Because I'm fed up with it feels like you can't get ahead. It seems like there's a lot of bricks in the wall. I can't get health insurance. I can't get decent food. Education. I own a $20,000 I'm a debt slip. Student loan.
Did anyone lose a cell phone? Did anyone lose a cell phone?
All right. So did you go to college?
Yes.
And so that debt that you're talking about was from college?
Online college.
Is it an online college?
Scam.
And do you work now?
Yeah, I work $9 an hour.
Okay.
Temporary worker, been there for a year.
All right. Well, okay. So you feel like it's hard at $9 an hour. It's hard for you to.
Can't survive in this state. $9 an hour.
Okay. Do you have trouble making up your bills and putting food on your table? And how do you make up the difference?
Well, I actually live with my dad now. I actually moved back from Indiana. I actually used to live in Indiana. I got laid off, and I actually had to move out, come back, and live with him. 28 years old.
Yes, your parents are helping you out.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, their parents are helping them out. What do you say to those people who say, well, 100 years ago, that's what everyone did. Many generations lived in the same house together. And so we got away from that for a while, and now we're back to it, and maybe that's not such a bad thing. What do you say to people like who say things like that?
What I think is family is the main unit in the world. But the way it is now, everybody has to work to survive. And a lot of times, the family unit together. My parents are divorced,
So it's even harder because they have two households.
He got one income, and then now he's got to help me out. It makes it even harder. And everybody banded together at one time. All families came together and actually just realized that no one needs to struggle.
Are you going to be sleeping on the green with the occupiers in the tent?
No, I got to go back home. I got work on Monday.
Yeah, you got to go to work, right?
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And what do you hope is the end goal for you for the occupations? What would you like to see?
I would like to see, first off, us have universal health care.
Universal health care? Okay.
Yes. We are the only developed nation in the world that doesn't have universal health care. An education system like that you can afford. You're able to expand your mind at a decent level of income.
Do you think that should also be free through college? Like universal education, just like universal health care? Okay.
And I know it's the money we spend on a lot of other things can be spent on us, expand us. Let us be healthy. Don't let corporations take our food and put genetically modified organisms in, clone animals. Let us be healthy.
And at the same time, they won't let us eat raw or organic foods. They regulate that, and they regulate.
FDA is totally corrupt.
Totally corrupt. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the message sounds similar to that of the Tea Party in terms of regulation of the food and so on and so forth, and the corporate greed. Do you see any similarities between the Occupy folks and the Tea Party folks?
The Tea Party folks are for no taxes. Okay, that is, unless you want to eliminate the government altogether, you have to. You gotta have it. And when I'm paying a higher tax rate, somebody making millions of dollars, that's wrong. I made $9 an hour. Come on, you're taking more money out of my check than you are out of somebody who's making millions of dollars. Back when Kennedy was around, 90%, and the country flourished.
So somewhere in the.
I'm not saying 90. We're not saying, but
we're
talking
higher than we have now.
Exactly.
More than 50%.
How much money do you need? Somebody made $1 billion on the mortgage crisis. Do you really need $1 billion? I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know what I would do with $1 billion either.
Do you really need that much money? I'm not asking to take from anybody. I'm not asking to rob nobody. I'm asking to level the playing field.
Have you ever considered running for office?
Yes, but money.
We saw someone earlier today that said What was it? Oh, the election laws. They reformed campaign finance. Thank you.
Are they really gonna reform something that they know they're getting a part of? I mean, come on. I just seen Kevin's Law. I watched Food Inc. and they try to pass a law on food, to regulate it. But the meat industry throws money in Congress. Forget about it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
But
So it's a giant circle. The businesses give to the politicians,
Exactly.
and then the
People
politicians turn around and give it to the businesses.
Exactly, because when you're in Congress and you do what they want, you get set up with a cushy job. You're working for Congress, and you become a consultant for Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, even Larry Summers. Look at him. He was the head of Citigroup, destroyed it, but he's still in freaking. He's our chief financial economic advisor.
Did you vote for President Obama?
Yes.
Are you disappointed in
Yes, because of course it was a nice game he played, but he got Timothy Geithner, Larry Summers. I mean, I don't know all the names, but it's a Wall Street bunch.
Now, are you in search of another candidate for 2012, or?
Yes. Hopefully me.
Are you gonna run for president in 2012?
I want to.
All right.
I have a lot of ideas, and I tell you that I think this country is the best country in the world, and I hate to see that. We just passed a free trade agreement with Colombia, Panama, and South Korea. A million jobs overseas. Slave labor. It was built in this country, and it's going to stay in this country. This hoodie, I made a sweatshop. Come on.
How much of the high prices for manufacturing in the United States do you think is due to unions requiring very high labor wages?
Well, collective bargaining is a very good skill. I also believe in peace pay.
In what?
Peace pay. I think that's what they call
Peace
it.
pay?
Is that what they call it when you?
Peace work. Peace work.
Peace work. When you work hard, the company does well, they share profits. See, in this company, we settle for wages, which is wrong. We're outputting, like me. I could put out 10,000 worth of product, but I'm getting paid $9 an hour. You know what I'm saying? The more product I put out, the more they get paid. Exactly. So that's what they should focus on.
And then the people who were the most productive would be the ones who had the higher wages or would flourish. And if you aren't as productive, or if you don't have the merits to do it, then you may falter a little bit.
Exactly. That's fairness.
Now, do the people who flourish because they are the most productive, do they have an obligation to those that don't do the output that you do?
It's all called teamwork. You're not going to sit there and take a raise while you see somebody else get cut. It's all. It should be a true democracy.
But if you're working your ass off,
and I see somebody that's not working,
right, and you see somebody that's not working their ass off, is it fair that you have to pay part of what you earned to supplement them because they're not working as hard as you?
Then they don't want to work as hard. Work somewhere else.
Does society have any obligation to the people who don't work?
You have a certain obligation, of course, because you have to think that everybody's not the same. Exactly. And to say that we're all built the same and we all work the same is a false myth. And to think that, just because a person who's older, obviously not going to be able to work as hard as me. And you do have an obligation.
Yeah, so the people that are unable, if they're disabled or they're elderly or whatever, we should take care of them. But the people who are able but just simply don't do it, maybe not so much. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.